Hi, and thanks for watching this video on the worst bits of the Uncharted series and how to get through them so you can just get on with enjoying these otherwise excellent games. I'm Ludwig Kitzman for GamesRadar Plus, and this footage is from the newly remastered Nathan Drake collection on PS4.
You ready for this?
The Uncharted games are unique in how they use the language and tropes of action movies to direct your behavior through what you might call scenes. There are moments of exploration and funny banter between the characters, and exciting shootouts that tend to build into catastrophic climaxes. Pacing is really one of the most important things in Uncharted, and getting stuck or repeatedly foiled in a scene is a bit like an actor messing up his lines and the director yelling, "Cut, cut, cut, you suck!" Sometimes it's just a matter of a bad camera angle. Look at how this early scene, which should transition seamlessly into a dramatic chase, is basically ruined by bad camera placement, and the fact that Drake automatically rolls when he lands from a high enough ledge. This is Uncharted, the short version. As you might expect, this kind of thing happens more in Naughty Dog's first Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. We have to begin with the infamous jet ski sequence, which tries to shake things up with a vehicle section, not because there's an interesting reason in the story for it, but because this is some leftover PS2 era thinking in which every action game needed a vehicle section. It's not so bad because of how the jet ski moves, but because the first part is in this waterlogged alley of complex stone texture work that obscures the enemies. You can only really spot them once they already start shooting at you. How fun is precision shooting while you're bobbing in the water? Well, there's a reason they give you a grenade launcher with infinite ammo. To get through this quickly, just be methodical. Inch forward a little bit until you see a shot. Stop, aim down the sights, and make sure you get it in one shot. Back up if you need to. Just remember that you can calmly take out one person at a time, but not three at once, especially if you're playing on tougher difficulties. For the second time on the jet ski, really? We're doing this again? Fire without aiming down the sights. And no, the game doesn't tell you to do this. Just fire wildly as you go up the river and enjoy the fact that you now know where all the exploding barrels end up when they're not being used in other games. This shipment, I think, just came in from Doom. Also, there's this part where Uncharted briefly turns into Doom, making you run around a dark Nazi bunker, shooting skinless monsters. Even if you don't mind the odd tonal shift at this point in the game, and being taken out of your comfort zone, don't bother taking cover, just run in circles, firing from the hip, only aiming down the sights if there's enough space between you and your target. I'm going to jump back to Trapped real quick, which I think is the worst combat encounter in Uncharted 1. It's not bad in theory. Small arena with lots of cover and plenty of encouragement to keep you moving, but there's just not enough freedom to improvise. Taking cover, which, by the way, is a little spotty in Drake's Fortune, is your only option, and you really need to focus on two key things to win somewhat easily. The first is getting the sniper rifle in the corner here, which lets you one-shot enemies coming in from the opposite side. Taking out the emplaced gun in the distance should be your next focus, as it will allow you to destroy the next wave of enemies coming in from behind. You don't have that many options for movement, unfortunately, and sending in another wave of enemies from behind is something Uncharted 1 does a lot.
Just like old times, huh?
You could say that.
Now, if you want to see how much better Naughty Dog gets at making an interesting combat scene, let's jump to Uncharted 3: Drake's Deception. This is a challenging one, and I've seen some people say it's a problem in this game, but I love how much is going on in this scene. I took a couple of takes on this just to show you how you should approach it. Swimming to one of the boats on the left, you can climb up and grab an RPG. On the right side, there's an in-place turret and some more explosive weaponry to give you the upper hand. Swimming, clambering, shooting, and taking cover in a continuous motion. This is what Uncharted is trying to do and capture from the films that inspire it. When it constricts your movement, it can build tension, but it can also lead to repeated frustration.
Right. Thanks.
Take a look at this scene, for instance, in Uncharted 2: Among Thieves. I love the setup. You're in an overturned train, you're pinned down, and are forced to rely on the weapons conveniently scattered about. It goes on way too long though, and it really feels like Uncharted is trying to avoid what makes it an interesting shooter. To get through this quickly, don't hesitate to use blind fire a whole bunch, especially with the powerful pistola. When you see the laser of a sniper, move in their direction immediately, where there'll be a sniper rifle waiting for you to return fire. Prioritize this motion every single time, and you'll be able to take out the enemies moving in from those directions and not have to worry about them entering the train later. This scene comes to a good end if you make it through properly. Later in the game, you'll encounter this guy, Train Boss Man. Train Boss Man is an annoying encapsulation of the mistakes Uncharted makes sometimes. He's in here because it's a video game and apparently we need a mini-boss at this point. His placement weirdly comes after you've made it through Uncharted's brilliant train level and shot down the helicopter that's hounded you, which is really an effective climax to that scene. But then it keeps going and loses its impact, especially if you die fighting Train Boss Man. The trick with Train Boss Man is grenades. Shoot him until he throws one at you. If it lands on your side, run at him and punch him. You'll end up switching sides and repeating what you just did. Stay put if the grenade doesn't end up near you, and he'll come to you. Repeat this dance, and don't forget you can take cover outside of the train car as well, until you get rid of him. And the worst thing about this stupid Train Boss Man? You don't even get to kill him yourself.
Saved my ass again.
Finally, let's talk boss fights. They suck in Uncharted, especially in the first two games, and while you want the hero and villain to face each other at the end, there's nothing very clever in how these encounters play out. In Uncharted Drake's Fortune, the fight operates like old-school clockwork. Only shoot the minions. Navarro is sniping at you in a pattern. He'll fire a few times, there'll be a pause, and fire off the final shot. This will kill you, so stop what you're doing and be in cover before that shot happens. Don't take too long though, because that shot also whittles away your cover. Once the minions are gone, take your time to gather weapons and ammo, then repeat. When the grenade launcher guy shows up at the very end, take him out as quickly as possible. The problem with these scenes, at least if you die, is that it undermines the climax of the game. The moment of triumph kind of peters out when you're forced to repeat it, especially if it's just for adding a boss fight at the end of a game. This can be avoided though if they're well directed. Under things that are not well directed though, that would be the boss fight against Lazarevich in the end of Uncharted 2. The trick is, as you'll know and as the game will tell you even though you've been doing it, is to shoot the glowing blue tree sap just as he's walking by. The problem is the area is surrounded by pits as well, and you spend most of the time with the camera facing backwards. To get through this and to reach the game's genuinely good climax, you'll have to resort to your old running in circles strategy. ABR, always be running, and stop briefly when you see a blue blob and know Lazarevich is coming up. The cutscenes that show you're damaging him are disorienting, so be ready to start running immediately.
You will not stand in the way of destiny!
If you're injured, point the camera forward and just run until you've recovered. Oh, and bad news, you also don't get to kill Lazarevich yourself.
Do it!
Alright, hopefully that helps you get through some of Uncharted's worst moments, so you can enjoy the series as a whole and its great moments, and see how Naughty Dog has refined the series over time, especially as it comes to that mix of climbing and combat and improvisation. Like the best movies, these are games that you prefer getting through without interruptions.
Let's get out of here.
All right. See ya.
Pretty great video, right? If you want to check out the rest of our YouTube video, click this link right over here. And if you want to read some words, click this link right here.